Being in a band turns you into a child and keeps you there.
When did you say that?
No idea. I think as a band it's sort of like a club and you stick together. But there is a point where you actually do have to grow up. From doing the bends and finishing OK Computer, we did quite a lot of growing up. And that's not to say we don't live in limbo, which we do.
And I think the band that did the first album, first Radiohead album, does feel like, 7-year-olds really, compared to what we're doing now, I think.
They're a bunch of idiots. The growing up bit is realising what you're doing. With Creep and so on, we didn't know what was going on, we didn't have a clue what was happening. And so everything was just wrong. When you're on tour, it's sort of, you do a lot of things are taken care of. But there are actually reasons for that. It affects me if, say, I have to have meetings with people or, that sort of thing. I know that by the end of the day my head is so full up with noise that, so you exist in a necessary vacuum. Personally, that's the way I see it. And if you can't concentrate when you're on stage, if you can't focus what you're doing, then it's a waste of time.
My music was crap. Oh no, we're crap. Yeah, we still have that, I think, sometimes. But
all the time, actually.
Wouldn't it be terrible if we never worried about the music being bad? Just assume that every album is always going to be faultless. I think it's a good belief to have.
I think by the end of OK Computer we just decided everything was, well, not crap, but like, we could just see so many holes in it that we had to stop. We just became so obsessed by the whole idea. And I think that was a reaction really to like the first record being done in 3 weeks when we didn't know what we were doing, and yet having to live with it for 2.5, 3 years. Live with the consequences of that, which we just thought was so absurd. Just because we never expected anybody to buy it at all. We did it to learn. It was just so odd. So I think we have a sort of manic, a pathological, almost to the point of extreme unhealthiness really, of thinking everything we do is shit all the time. A lot of the time it's the title, and the title will give everyone a sort of vague idea of what we're trying to aim at, and but not all the time by any means. Sometimes it's just a sound that someone makes, like with Lucky, the sound of the guitar at the beginning to us was sort of like sleigh bells. There's always a point where things spark off, but it's not necessarily a title. But there is, I think, that's the kind of most rewarding point for us as sort of 5 people, the most rewarding point in doing anything that we do. I remember when we did Street Spirit, we had so much trouble with that. We rehearsed it for months, couldn't get anywhere with it at all, and it just, we thought, well, we better try it in the studio, and no, and going round and round and round and round, and it wasn't really working. And then I don't know, we just carried on for some reason, for no good reason, and then just stood back at the end of the second day of doing it, and it was all there, and like we hadn't even been involved, it had just done itself. And it's so odd. So it's always what we're aiming at, whether that comes from a title or whether it comes from most of the time you're just not looking. It's whenever you're not looking it turns up, and so you're in a constant state of panic that it'll never turn up again.
The most exciting time for me is when we've got what we suspect to be an amazing song, but nobody knows what they're going to play on it, and that's the best feeling. Tom sits down and plays you exit music just with an acoustic guitar and says, right, well, we're going to put this on the album. It's kind of daunting and exciting in equal parts, I think. it's quite a delicate thing knowing what to put on top to make it better or not to make it worse. And it's a kick, you know. It's the part where there isn't anything, and then suddenly 2 days later there is something concrete and physical, and that's a big rush, really big rush.
And you can last on that for months. You can last on that for months and months and months and months. All sorts of shit can happen, but if you had that, you can last for months. Keep you going forever. Great. We spend a lot of money on visuals for music. Our videos are not works of art. They are promotional tools used to make money. Yeah, I mean they are. You know, I can't really see the difference between shooting a video and making a car advert. It's like you know, you work really hard on something and then you have to put it on television, along with everything else on television. And no matter what you do with a camera for that 3.5, 4 minutes, whatever it is, you are in this little box where everything else lives, you know, where everybody mediates their existence. It's not art. You can't get precious about it. It's kind of really sad that you can end up spending twice or 3 times as much as you did making a record or making the videos for it.
The other side of that is that we're quite confident and excited about what we do. It's something we complain about, but it's also something we enjoy doing well. Whether it be finding a director who's never made a video before and putting a camera in their hands, or just trying to do something different constantly, that creates its own excitement.
Jake Scott, when he proposed the idea for Fake Plastic Trees, and the way he described it, and I was, you know, I couldn't believe that someone had picked up on it so well. You know, I was really proud that, because what that meant is whatever we tried to achieve in the music we'd done to an extent, if someone had responded to it in that way, I was like, wow, that's really exciting, that's amazing. The biggest battle I have at the moment is to persuade people that a lot of the lyrics I write are very funny. What do you think, Johnny?
I think there's a lot of humour in our records, actually, to be honest. Quite dark, admittedly, but the whole concept, like, dangerous word to use, but the whole idea is like Karma Police and certain parts of Paranoid Android are patently ridiculous, you know.
Is there a lighter side?
Yes, what is the lighter side?
We are the dark side.
Yeah, and Paranoid Android is definitely a joke. You can't possibly take that song completely seriously, unless of course you're a critic.
I think what Tom managed to do on OK Computer was that, for instance, take Paranoid Android, that was him being basically a voyeur in a fairly hideous bar in Los Angeles and watching all these people around him, hence the Gucci little piggy line. 3 years ago he might not have been able to sort of withdraw himself from the actual events going on, kind of left going, this is horrible. He's now got the ability to sort of, you know, sit on the sidelines and watch these things going on. So it's it's not funny, ha ha. But I think particularly
more
with
funny, peculiar.
Yeah.
I don't know, you laugh at peculiar things sometimes. Out of context.
I can't help that.
And I think that the great thing about that was the video. Was Magnus Carlsen's video sort of brought the humour out a bit more.
Do we enjoy playing live? It used to be the only thing we enjoyed, in a way. Recording used to be a chore until about halfway through the bends. Now they're both as exciting as each other, really. It's something that you miss when you're touring. When touring is something you miss when you've been in the studio for 4 weeks.
Or a year and a half.
Or a year and a half. So it's constant anticipation, really. Kind of live a life of constantly, you know, can't wait to get home, and when you're home you can't wait to go off on tour, and it's quite again quite a buzz.
It can be very tiring. Touring can be exhausting, and you can lose interest in terms of, you know, you sometimes do feel like a jukebox. You know, you're playing, we change the sets a lot, but we have to play songs off OK Computer, we have to play songs off the bend, some songs off Pablo Honey. There are only so many, you know, different permutations you can make.
for us it's like when it's best when we're playing is when we're sort of in a sort of dream state anyway. If it's a good show and you feel that you've played well and you feel that when you left the stage there's something in the air that wasn't there when you started, then you've really done something and have to make the most of it, you know, for as long as you can. So when people sort of like, so I don't go and say hello to anybody. Most of the time I'll just go sit on the bus now, because I can't do anything else.
I went to see Oasis in the Verve at Earl's Court about a month ago, and Oasis transmit a very different kind of energy. It's much more like a group, like a mob thing, you know, like you know, there's not that kind of like each person in the audience feel they're being singled out with some of the songs. It's more of a sort of big communal, you know, booze up sing along thing, you know. But you know, and I think the fact that we've been able to like be quite successful in a lot of these large shows at not doing that, but rather having sort of an empathy between the audience and the performance, to do with like Tom trying very hard to do that, to feel that he's communicating with individually and severally with the audience.
It's one of our strengths and also one of our great weaknesses. Emotional honesty. You know, when you do a gig, you can tell when Radiohead aren't doing a great gig or when they are doing it, when we are doing it, because it's, you know, we're not gonna bullshit. We're not gonna bullshit the audience.